Cambodia pronunciation Kambadzia. Official name Say Tharanakrath Prachashon Kampuchea. Norwegian name Kingdom of Cambodia. State form monarchy in Asia. Capital Phnom Penh. Inhabitants 16,449,519. 2018, LANDAREAL 176,520 square kilometers. Total area 181,040 square kilometers. Inhabitants per kilometer squared 93.19. Official language Khmer. Religion Buddhism. National day the 9th of November. State of Head Narodam Siamoni. Prime Minister Hun Sen. Coin real at 100 sen. Cambodia is a monarchy in Southeast Asia. The country borders Thailand to the west and northwest, Laos to the northeast and Vietnam to the east and southeast. Cambodia has a 435-kilometer-long coastline to the Gulf of Thailand in the southwest. The population is 16,449,519 inhabitants, 2018. The capital is Phnom Penh. Cambodia is a remnant of the large Hindu-Buddhist empire that the Khmer people established at the end of the 5th century, or the country became independent in 1953. For several decades until the end of the 1990s, there was a civil war-like state in Cambodia. In the country the name Kampuchea is used, by Kamboja, the people of Kambu. The return of the country's international name to Cambodia was done to distance the country from the Khmer Rouge regime. Since independence in 1953, the country's name has changed several times. Geography and environment. Large parts of the coastline are carved by bays. Inside is a narrow coastal plain, but mountains reach down to the coast at Kampot. The central plain by the Mekong River and Lake Tonle Sap, which is Southeast Asia's largest lake, is flooded in May to June. The plain makes up about 3/4 of the country's area and is bordered by mountain ranges and plateaus. Cambodia here a tropical monsoon climate with dry weather from November to April and rainy season from May to October. In the rainy season the temperature can reach 40 degrees and in the dry season fall to 20 degrees. Cambodia has a strong deforestation rate. From 2010 to 2016, the country's forested area was reduced from 60 to 45%. This area varies from dense rainforest to mangrove forest along the coast to evergreen deciduous forest and lush shrub vegetation of, among other things, vines, palm trees and bamboo in the northern mountain areas. The Central Plains are a savanna. Modern forestry and war have reduced the populations of large mammals such as tigers, leopards, Malaysians, deer species and tree-living mammals, including monkey and squirrel species. 212 mammal species have been registered. About 530 bird species have been detected, including storks, herons and parrots, and 240 reptile species, including crocodiles and strangler snakes. Lake Tonle Sap has 850 fish species, while 435 fish species have been registered in the sea. People and society. 97.6% of the population is of Khmer origin. The most important minority groups are Kham Muslims, 1.2%, Vietnamese, 0.1%, and Chinese, 0.1%. The official language is Khmer, which is the mother tongue of 96.3% of the population. The population density is highest on the plains of the Mekong River. 30.76% of the population is under 14 years of age. 97.9% of the population are Buddhists, 1.1% are Sunni Muslims, and Christians make up 0.5%. State and politics. Zoom in. Cambodia National Assembly in Phnom Penh. Cambodia National Assembly by Henning Blatt. License, CC by SA 3.0. Cambodia is a constitutional monarchy where the king's position is strong. The parliament is a two-chamber system consisting of a National Assembly, lower house, with 123 members elected in general elections for 5 years, and a Senate, upper house, with 61 members. The government is accountable to the National Assembly. Cambodia's People's Party has government power. Cambodia is divided into 24 provinces including the capital. Conscription is common. There is a service period for men of 18 months. The army is significantly larger than the Navy and Air Force. Cambodia is a member of, among others, the UN, the World Trade Organization, WTO, ASEAN, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. History Angkor Wat flourished in the area from the early 800s to the 1200s. The most important center of power at that time was the present ruined city of Angkor. The empire was conquered by Thai people in the 15th century, and 400 years of invasions from neighboring countries, civil wars and depopulation followed. To prevent the country from being annihilated by Thailand and Annam, the King of Cambodia requested in 1866 that Cambodia become a French protectorate. Until 1953, Cambodia was administered as part of the Indochina colony, interrupted by Japanese occupation in the years 1941 to 1945. Cambodia became independent in 1953. It was a civil war with American and Vietnamese participation in the period 1970 to 1975. The Khmer Rouge ruled the country in 1975 to 1979, a time when almost the entire urban population was forcibly relocated to the countryside, and about 1.7 million Cambodians, 1/5 of the population, died of starvation and disease. The hardest hit were ethnic minorities and religious groups. In 1978, Vietnamese forces invaded the country after massacres of Vietnamese. The Khmer Rouge was overthrown in 1979 and began guerrilla activity. In 1991, the UN peace plan was signed by all warring parties, and in 1993 the country was reunited as a monarchy and the first parliamentary elections were held after many years of civil war. Khmer Rouge laid down its arms in 1999. In retrospect, bilateral and multilateral development assistance has increased. In 2004, King Norodom Sihanouk abdicated and his son, Norodom Sihamoni, succeeded him to the throne. Parliamentary elections were held in 2018. Economy and business: Cambodia is among the poorest countries in the world. In the list of countries' gross national income, GNI, per capita, Cambodia is in 160th place. Agriculture contributes 25.3% of the country's GDP and employs 48.7% of the working population. The most important agricultural products are rice and rubber. Cambodia has the world's fourth largest freshwater fishery after China, India and Bangladesh. In addition, there is fish farming and sea fishing. Industry contributes 32.8% of the country's GDP and employs 19.9% of the working population. The most important industrial activity is the production of clothing and footwear. Tourism has grown strongly since 2008 and is the country's second largest source of income, after the textile industry, in terms of hard currency. There is only one operational railway line in the country, between Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville. The road network is poorly maintained. Ship traffic on Lake Tonle Sap and the rivers Mekong and Tonle Sap is an important domestic means of communication. Phnom Penh, Siem Reap and Sihanoukville have international airports. Sihanoukville is the country's only deep water port. Phnom Penh River Port is 330 kilometers from the Mekong estuary in the South China Sea. Foreign trade is modest. The largest trading partners are China, the United States, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. The most important export products are clothing, footwear, timber, rice, rubber, fish and tobacco. The most important import products are petroleum products, raw materials for the clothing and footwear industry, building materials, electronics and motor vehicles. Knowledge and culture: there is 6 years of compulsory schooling for children aged 6 to 12 years. High school is twofold, 3 + 3 years. There are too few schools and teachers. Several higher education institutions have reopened after 1980. Many of the most prominent universities are located in Phnom Penh. 19.5% of the adult population is illiterate. There are 15 daily newspapers in Cambodia. 9 of these are daily newspapers in Khmer. Freedom of the press is limited. Cambodia's national radio was established in 1978 and a state television channel in 1983. There are about 67 radio stations and 8 national television stations. The most famous literary work, the romantic verse poem, Tum Teo, was written in the 17th century. The first novel in modern Khmer literature was Sufat by Rim Kit, published in 1942. One of the most popular authors today is Long Ung. Her autobiography First They Killed Dad became an international bestseller. The best-known architecture from Cambodia is the temple ruins of Angkor from about the 800s to the 15th century. The music is related to that in neighboring Myanmar, Laos and Thailand. The music scale had 5 notes. Important instruments were xylophone, flutes and drums. The classical Aspara dance had a renaissance in the 1950s. Western music has a great influence on modern Khmer music. There are several karaoke channels on television. From the 15th century, both ballet and shadow theatre are known. In our time, the ballet tradition of the Royal Ballet in Phnom Penh and shadow theatre is continued as a folk tradition. Cambodian dance is divided into classical Khmer dance, folk dance and social dances. In the Khmer Rouge era, theatre life was destroyed, but in retrospect there has been a reconstruction. The annual rowing competition on the Mekong River, the Boat Race Festival, is the most popular national festival. Soccer is one of the most popular sports.